If you have diabetes, some foods are worse than sugar itself. They don't just raise your blood sugar, they silently damage your body, increasing your risk of heart disease, nerve damage, and kidney failure. The worst part? Many of these foods seem harmless or are even marketed as healthy. Today, we'll expose the 7 worst foods that can secretly sabotage your blood sugar. Stick around because at the end, I'll also share what you should be eating instead. If you have diabetes, what you eat isn't just about taste, it's about survival. The right foods can help keep your blood sugar in check, while the wrong ones can make your condition worse, increasing your risk of heart disease, nerve damage, and kidney failure. And here's the scary part. Some of the most dangerous foods for diabetes are hiding in plain sight. You might think they're harmless or even healthy, but they're secretly sending your blood sugar on a roller coaster ride. Blood sugar spikes happen when certain foods break down too quickly into glucose, forcing your body to release more insulin. Over time, this leads to insulin resistance, where your cells stop responding to insulin properly. That's when things get really dangerous. High blood sugar damages blood vessels, leading to complications that affect your entire body. In today's video, we're revealing 7 foods you should never touch if you have diabetes. Some of these might shock you, but don't worry. We'll also give you better alternatives that can satisfy your cravings without spiking your blood sugar. Stick around till the end because we'll also share key diabetes management tips that go beyond diet. Knowing what to eat and what to avoid can be the difference between thriving and struggling with this condition. Let's get started with the first food you should never consume if you have diabetes. If there's one thing that should be off limits for people with diabetes, it's sugary drinks. These beverages hit your bloodstream like a freight train, causing instant blood sugar spikes that are extremely dangerous. Your body either doesn't produce enough insulin or can't use it effectively. So when a sugar surge happens, your system struggles to bring it down. Over time, this leads to insulin resistance, weight gain, and serious health complications. Most people know that soda is bad for diabetes, but the real danger is that many so-called healthy drinks are just as harmful. Fruit juices, even 100% natural ones, are loaded with sugar and lack fiber, making them just as bad as soda. Energy drinks and sports drinks are even worse, filled with high fructose corn syrup that floods your system with glucose. And don't be fooled by diet sodas. Studies suggest artificial sweeteners might trick your brain into craving more sugar, leading to overeating and insulin spikes. Multiple studies link sugary drinks to type 2 diabetes and metabolic syndrome. One major study found that drinking just one sugary beverage a day increases your risk of developing diabetes by 26%. Another study showed that people who consume these drinks regularly are more likely to develop fatty liver disease, obesity, and cardiovascular problems. The good news? You don't have to give up tasty drinks completely. Swap sugary sodas and juices for water, the best way to stay hydrated without affecting blood sugar. Unsweetened herbal tea options like green tea, hibiscus, and cinnamon tea can even help regulate blood sugar. Lemon or cucumber-infused water adds natural flavor without sugar. By making these simple swaps, you can dramatically improve your blood sugar control and avoid the damage sugary drinks can cause. Up next, another sneaky food that's ruining your diabetes management, and you probably eat it every day. If you have diabetes, white bread and refined carbs are some of the worst foods you can eat. They might seem harmless, but they break down into sugar almost instantly, sending your blood sugar soaring. When you eat white bread, white rice, or pasta, your body converts them into glucose almost as fast as eating sugar itself. This leads to rapid blood sugar spikes that make diabetes harder to control. Increased insulin resistance, making it even more difficult for your body to regulate glucose. Hunger cravings, since refined carbs digest quickly, leaving you feeling hungrier sooner. Consistently eating refined carbs puts you on a blood sugar roller coaster, leading to fatigue, mood swings, and long-term complications like nerve damage and heart disease. You might think you're avoiding refined carbs by skipping white bread, but they hide in many common foods, including white rice, lacks fiber and digests rapidly, just like white bread. Pasta, even regular wheat pasta, is highly processed and can cause glucose spikes. Pastries and baked goods, often made with refined flour and loaded with sugar. Even processed whole wheat bread can be misleading, Many brands contain added sugars and refined flours that make them no better than white bread. Studies show that diets high in refined carbohydrates increase the risk of type 2 diabetes by up to 40%. A Harvard study found that people who eat high GI, glycemic index, foods like white bread experience more frequent blood sugar spikes, which over time lead to greater insulin resistance and weight gain. Another study showed that individuals who replaced refined carbs with whole grains had better blood sugar control and a reduced risk of developing diabetes-related complications. Instead of white bread and refined grains, choose fiber-rich, whole food alternatives that help regulate blood sugar. Whole grains, swap white rice for brown rice, quinoa, or farro. Whole wheat bread, look for 100% whole grain bread with no added sugars. Legume-based pasta, chickpea or lentil pasta offers more fiber and protein than traditional pasta. By switching to whole grains, you stabilize blood sugar, improve digestion, and lower your risk of complications. Up next, another everyday food that might be quietly damaging your health. When you're craving something quick and tasty, processed snacks like chips, crackers, and packaged baked goods might seem like an easy choice. But if you have diabetes, these snacks can be a disaster for your blood sugar. They're loaded with refined carbs, unhealthy fats, and excessive sodium, all of which make managing diabetes much harder. Most processed snacks have three major problems. Refined carbs, these break down too quickly into glucose, causing rapid blood sugar spikes. Unhealthy fats, many contain trans fats or saturated fats, which increase insulin resistance and inflammation. High sodium, excess salt can raise blood pressure, a serious issue for diabetics who already have a higher risk of heart disease. Even snacks labeled as low-fat or sugar-free aren't safe. They often contain artificial additives that can still trigger insulin spikes or cravings. You might not realize just how much sugar, salt, and bad fats are in these snacks. Potato chips and corn chips, high in refined carbs and trans fats, leading to blood sugar spikes and inflammation. Crackers and pretzels, often made with white flour and lack fiber, making them just as bad as white bread. Packaged baked goods, cookies, muffins, and pastries, loaded with refined sugar and unhealthy oils. Granola bars, marketed as healthy, but often contain hidden sugars and syrups that spike blood sugar. A major study published in Diabetes Care found that people who eat highly processed foods regularly have a 50% higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Another study showed that consuming trans fats and processed carbs together worsens insulin resistance and increases inflammation throughout the body. Processed snacks don't just spike blood sugar, they make it harder to lose weight, increase cravings, and raise the risk of heart disease. Instead of grabbing a processed snack, try these nutrient-dense options that support blood sugar control. Nuts and seeds, almonds, walnuts, chia seeds, and flax seeds provide healthy fats and fiber. Greek yogurt, packed with protein to keep blood sugar stable. Homemade snacks, try air-popped popcorn, homemade energy bites, or apple slices with peanut butter. By cutting out processed snacks and choosing whole, unprocessed foods, you can reduce blood sugar spikes, support insulin function, and improve overall health. Next up, a common food that's secretly making diabetes harder to manage. Fried foods are crispy, flavorful, and addictive. But if you have diabetes, they're one of the worst things you can eat. These foods increase bad cholesterol, LDL, promote insulin resistance, and raise inflammation, all of which make managing diabetes much harder. Even worse, fried foods are often cooked in unhealthy oils that contain trans fats, a major contributor to heart disease and blood sugar instability. Fried foods impact your body in three dangerous ways. Increases LDL, bad cholesterol, and lowers HDL, good cholesterol. This leads to artery blockages, raising the risk of heart disease. Promotes insulin resistance. The high-fat content slows digestion and makes it harder for insulin to regulate blood sugar properly. Leads to weight gain. Fried foods are calorie-dense, making it easier to gain weight, especially around the abdomen, which worsens diabetes. For people with diabetes, this combination is deadly: unstable blood sugar, higher heart disease risk, and increased insulin resistance. It's not just deep-fried fast food that's dangerous. Many everyday foods contain unhealthy oils and trans fats, including French fries made with refined carbs and fried in unhealthy, reused oils. Fried chicken, the crispy coating is full of refined flour and absorbs unhealthy fats. Donuts and fried pastries, loaded with sugar, white flour, and trans fats. Store-bought fried snacks, many processed chips and frozen foods are pre-fried in trans fats before packaging. Even some restaurant-prepared meals use partially hydrogenated oils, which are a major source of trans fats and should be completely avoided. Studies show that trans fats increase the risk of type 2 diabetes by 40% and contribute to arterial plaque buildup, making blood flow more difficult. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that people who consume fried foods 4 or more times a week have a significantly higher risk of developing diabetes-related heart disease and obesity. Instead of eating deep-fried foods, swap them for healthier cooking methods. Air-fried foods get the crispy texture without excessive oil. Baked or roasted vegetables, roasting brings out natural sweetness and flavor. Grilled lean proteins, chicken, fish, and tofu retain flavor without unhealthy fats. By eliminating fried foods and switching to healthier cooking methods, you'll stabilize blood sugar, reduce insulin resistance, and protect your heart. Up next, a food that's sneaking unhealthy fats into your diet without you even realizing it. If you have diabetes, full-fat dairy products may be doing more harm than good. While dairy can be a source of protein and calcium, the high saturated fat content in full-fat milk, butter, and cheese can worsen insulin resistance, lead to weight gain, and increase the risk of heart disease, all of which are major concerns for diabetics. Full-fat dairy affects your body in 3 major ways. Increases insulin resistance. Saturated fats interfere with insulin signaling, making it harder for your cells to absorb glucose. This leads to higher blood sugar levels and greater difficulty in managing diabetes. Promotes weight gain. Whole milk, butter, and cheese are calorie-dense, and excessive calorie intake can lead to abdominal fat, which is closely linked to worsening insulin resistance. Raises cholesterol and heart disease risk. People with diabetes already have a higher risk of heart disease, and the saturated fats in full-fat dairy contribute to higher LDL, bad cholesterol, increasing the chance of heart attacks and strokes. Whole milk, high in saturated fat and can cause spikes in cholesterol levels. Butter, pure saturated fat, leading to artery blockages and heart disease risk. Full-fat cheese, high in calories and sodium, both of which are problematic for diabetes management. Even foods marketed as natural or organic can still contain high levels of saturated fat, making them just as harmful. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that diets high in saturated fats from dairy increase insulin resistance, making diabetes harder to control. Another study in diabetes care showed that consuming full-fat dairy products raises the risk of cardiovascular disease in diabetics due to their impact on cholesterol and inflammation. The good news? You don't have to give up dairy altogether, just opt for healthier versions. Low-fat dairy, choose skim or 1% milk to reduce saturated fat intake. Plant-based alternatives, almond milk, soy milk, and oat milk provide calcium and nutrients without harmful fats. Low-fat cheese and yogurt, Greek yogurt, low-fat, is a great source of protein without excess fat. Switching to these options can improve insulin sensitivity, help with weight control, and protect your heart. Up next, a breakfast staple that might be secretly sabotaging your blood sugar levels. Many people start their day with a bowl of cereal, believing it's a quick and healthy breakfast. But if you have diabetes, most sweetened breakfast cereals are one of the worst ways to begin your morning. These cereals are packed with sugar, low in fiber, and cause rapid blood sugar spikes, making diabetes harder to manage. Most commercial cereals, especially those marketed as healthy or whole grain, contain high sugar content. Many cereals have as much sugar as a candy bar, leading to immediate blood sugar spikes and crashes. Lack of fiber. Without fiber, carbohydrates digest too quickly, leaving you hungry soon after eating. High glycemic index, GI. The refined grains used in these cereals are rapidly absorbed, causing uncontrolled blood sugar fluctuations. For diabetics, this combination is dangerous. A rapid rise in blood sugar followed by a crash can lead to fatigue, cravings, and difficulty maintaining stable glucose levels throughout the day. Even cereals that seem healthy can be problematic. Instant oatmeal often contains added sugars and lacks the fiber of traditional oats. Flavored cereals, brands that advertise whole grains, still contain artificial sweeteners and refined flours. Granola and muesli, while they sound healthy, many varieties are loaded with honey, dried fruit, and sugar syrups. Even low-fat cereals can be deceptive as they often contain extra sugar to compensate for flavor loss. Research in diabetes care found that high-GI breakfast foods lead to increased insulin resistance over time. Another study from Harvard University showed that people who regularly consume refined cereals have a 21% higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes compared to those who eat fiber-rich alternatives. Eating high-GI cereals in the morning also increases hunger later in the day, making it harder to control calorie intake and weight management, both crucial for diabetes control. Instead of reaching for sugary cereals, try these fiber-rich, blood sugar-friendly alternatives. Steel-cut oats, a much better option than instant oats, providing slow-digesting fiber. Chia pudding, packed with fiber, omega-3s, and protein, helping stabilize blood sugar. High-fiber, unsweetened cereal, look for options with at least 5 g of fiber per serving and no added sugar. By making simple swaps, you can avoid morning blood sugar spikes, stay full longer, and keep your diabetes under control. Up next, a food that's not just bad for diabetes but also damaging to your heart and overall health. If you have diabetes, high-sodium processed meats can quietly be making your condition worse. While they may seem like a convenient source of protein, these meats are loaded with excess sodium, unhealthy fats, and preservatives that increase blood pressure, worsen insulin resistance, and raise the risk of heart disease. All major concerns for diabetics. Processed meats harm your body in 3 major ways. Raises blood pressure. High sodium intake causes water retention, which increases blood pressure and stress on the heart. Worsens insulin resistance. Excess sodium and preservatives like nitrates and nitrites have been linked to higher insulin resistance, making it harder for your body to regulate blood sugar. Increases heart disease risk. People with diabetes are already at higher risk for heart disease, and processed meats contribute to artery blockages and cardiovascular complications. Since diabetes and heart disease are closely linked, eating high-sodium meats only increases the risk of serious health complications like strokes and heart attacks. Even small portions of processed meats can be harmful. Sausages and hot dogs contain high levels of sodium, preservatives, and unhealthy fats. Bacon high in saturated fat and sodium, leading to weight gain and heart problems. Deli meats, ham, salami, turkey slices, etc., often loaded with preservatives and excess salt. Canned meats, corned beef, spam, and luncheon meats, ultra-processed and extremely high in sodium and unhealthy fats. Even low-fat or lean processed meats are still problematic because of their high sodium content, which contributes to both blood sugar issues and cardiovascular risks. A study published in Diabetes Care found that people with diabetes who consumed high amounts of sodium had a 73% higher risk of developing cardiovascular disease. Another study showed that processed meats are associated with higher insulin resistance and increased inflammation, both of which worsen diabetes over time. High sodium intake has also been linked to kidney disease, which is a common complication for diabetics. Reducing sodium can improve overall blood sugar control and lower cardiovascular risks. Instead of processed meats, choose lean, whole food protein sources. Fish, salmon, sardines, and mackerel provide healthy omega-3 fats. Chicken breast, a lean, protein-packed option with no added preservatives. Plant-based proteins, lentils, chickpeas, tofu, and tempeh are great sources of fiber and protein. By making these swaps, you protect your heart, improve blood sugar control, and reduce diabetes complications. Up next, let's wrap up with final tips to help you make the best food choices every day. Avoiding these 7 foods can dramatically improve blood sugar control and reduce the risk of serious complications. But managing diabetes isn't about restriction. It's about smarter choices. Small changes can make a huge difference in your health. If this video helped you, share it with someone who needs this information. Also, check out our video on the best foods for diabetes. You won't want to miss it. What's your biggest challenge with diabetes? Comment below and let's talk.